All right, so let's go to X14. Now that's the one that when we make copies, it didn't copy through very well. But X14, please. You'll be able to see it better on mine. All right, so but before we have to talk about like terms, constant terms, variable terms on here before we move on. So like terms have identical variable parts. Constants, constant terms are just a number. Those are all constants are like terms. Okay? All constants are like terms. Variable terms are numbers and a variable. Okay, so 2x, 3x, these are like terms and it's a variable term. 3y, it's a variable term, but it's not like these two. Because this is an x, this is a y. Okay, so if it's 3y, 3x, they're not like terms. The 2x and 3x are like terms. Okay, does everyone follow that? And then as you get into multiple letters as well, so forth. All right, so what we have, and maybe you can write it, I don't know how faint it is for you. You could write over it, but this is 3 plus 8d plus 1. And what we want to do is we want to write each answer as a number, variable, or product of numbers and variables, but we're going to complete the expressions. We're going to simplify it. We're going to simplify it by combining like terms. Combining like terms. Okay, that's what we're doing. Okay, so when you look at this, we have a 3 plus 8d plus 1. Some of you, eventually, you're going to figure out, oh, I can just add those together and get 4 done. Okay, but why can you do that? Okay, well, notice we went from 3 plus 8d to 8d plus 3. We used the commutative property. Okay, later on, you're going to have a drop-down window here, and it's going to ask you what property are you using. Okay, so you got to know your properties. Okay, but right now this is 8d, and then it's plus 3. Using the commutative property, I redid the order here of these first two. And then 3 plus 1 is 4. So you'll have to put in the correct number here and put in the correct number there to get it right. Okay, and again, sometimes there'll be a drop-down window here where you'll have to click and then pick the property that you're using. Number 2, we have the 27z. I still have 27z. Now remember, I draw a line through my z. But this is a 27z, 27z. My order is staying the same, but the grouping is changing. And when the grouping changes, that's the associative property. Now you can multiply the 2 and the 7 and get 14. Now I get some of you would already know that, well, gee, 2 times 7z is going to be 14z, just like in some of the problems we did earlier in distributive property. Okay, but this is showing the steps. Okay, using your properties. Number 3, see if you can fill in those two values. Go ahead. See if you can figure out what it is. using all the hints. Now, I know on yours you might not be able to see, but hopefully you can see mine. Again, this might be a drop-down window. Okay, like here, there is a drop-down window. You'll have to pick the property. But here it's telling you distributed property. So we go 8 times the first plus 8 times the second, and 8 times 3 is 24. Questions there? All right, go ahead. Number 11. Or number 11. Where did I get 11 from? Number 4. Number 4. Okay, now the hard part on this one is figuring out what property it is. Okay, you have your commutative property, associative property, distributive property. Those are going to be the 3 for sure that they're going to list. Okay, and then they might throw in another random property. Going down to here, what does this look like? It looks like the distributive property, right? Right here. And we multiply it out. That's all it is all they're doing here is the distributive property, because you have the 3 times d plus 6, you have the 6 times d plus 6. So it's the 3 plus 6 times d plus 6, which is the distributive property. It's just showing it in a goofy way. All right. So this is distributive property. Okay. All right, number 5. Again, hopefully you can read mine. You might not be able to read yours. Using the clues of the information that you can read there. So we had grouping symbol here, and we shifted the grouping symbol to here. What's left is still the 6z, because I have 4 plus 3, 4 plus 3, so I still have the 6z here. And all that's happening is my grouping symbol is moving from the front 2 numbers to the back 2 numbers. What's that property? Anybody remember? Associative. Okay, so that'll be the associative property. And then the 4 plus 3 is 7. So you get 6z plus 7. All right, number 6. Okay, so we have the 9 plus what? Well, the 9z plus 5, the 9z plus 5 is here. Okay, these two are here. So the number that I'm missing here is this 5 here. And then 9 plus 5 is 14. And this looks like what? Distributive property. All right, what I would do if I was you is I would finish the X13. Okay, I would finish X13. When you get done with X13, then I would go to this lesson because then you're better at the distributive property as well. Okay, so finish X13, then go on to X14. Yes. You will have time tomorrow after the quiz to finish this lesson. Okay, so you will have time tomorrow after the quiz to finish 19 or X14.